Budgeting is not the answer, and I know that might sound strange coming from a CPA, but hear me out. You've probably already tried this yourself, and if budgeting for your med spa or wellness practice just didn't stick, it's not that you're doing it wrong, it's that the system is wrong. Traditional budgeting is like strict dieting, and I can tell you as somebody who's had gut health issues for years, I have tried all the diets. So if you tell me that I need to do low carb or low FODMAP, I would rather poke my eye out. And you probably feel the same way about budgeting. I totally get it, and it is absolutely not your fault. Traditional budgeting does not set you up for success. Today, I'm going to show you what to do instead. I'm Chelsea Zania, and I'm a CPA, and I work specifically with med spa and wellness practice owners to build the financial systems that you need to run a profitable practice that truly supports you. And stick around. At the end of this video, I'm going to show you the first step to planning your finances in a way that feels manageable, and it gives you real clarity about where your practice is headed. Okay, so let's go back to the dieting analogy for a second because I think this example will click for you. Think about tracking your macros. So you've set a plan, you've decided how many grams of protein, fat, and carbs you need, you downloaded MyFitnessPal or something similar, and then you went about your day, you winged it, and at bedtime, you went back to log your food. If you tried tracking macros before, you already know how this ends. There's no way you hit those macros. You're logging a dinner you already ate, trying to guesstimate whether it was 1 tablespoon of olive oil or 2, and realizing that you missed your protein goal by a mile. Traditional budgeting works the same way. You set numbers at the beginning of the month. This is what I'll spend on supplies. This is what I'm going to plan to put toward marketing. And then you go about your month. And then at the end of the month, you pull open your spreadsheet or your QuickBooks report or whatever it is, and you compare what already happened to what you had planned, and it's a big old disaster. You've already overspent. The money's already gone, and there's nothing you can do about it at this point. So then you beat yourself up. And for a lot of you, your brain clocks that this was an unpleasant experience, okay? 0 out of 10, do not recommend, and that money avoidance starts to creep in. Suddenly, you are way too busy for budgeting. Ain't nobody got time for that. So here's the thing. The problem was never you. The problem is that traditional budgeting is reactive. You're always looking backwards at what already happened instead of looking forward at what you can still change, what you still have control over. The best way to actually hit your macros is to plan your food at the beginning of the day, put it all in your app, decide what you're going to eat, and then you're all set up. You know what you need to eat that day, and you can make any adjustments you need to before it's too late. Your practice finances work exactly the same way. In the accounting and finance world, we call it forecasting, but I'm just going to call it planning for the rest of this video because that's really all it is. It's planning ahead instead of looking back. Planning is not about restricting or cutting back. It's not about watching every dollar so closely that it feels miserable. It's about knowing what's coming, deciding what you want to happen, and then giving yourself the ability to actually make it happen before the month is already over. And the very first step to planning is knowing your sales target because you can't hit a goal that you never set. So if you're in your first year or two of practice ownership and you're not paying yourself consistently yet, your first target is going to be your consistent salary target. That is the specific monthly revenue that you need to generate in order to cover all of your operating costs and pay yourself. I built a free calculator that finds this number for you in about 5 quick minutes. So grab it in the description below because it's the starting point for everything that we're talking about today. Okay, so just like we want to plan our macros in advance, we want to plan our cash flow in advance. That means estimate what you think is going to be coming in, planning for what you know is going out, and seeing what you expect to have left over before the week starts, not after it ends. And I want to emphasize the weekly component here because this is where most practice owners get it wrong. Because if you wait until the end of the month to look at your finances, it's far too late. There's nothing you can do to change what's already happened. But if you're looking ahead week by week, you can see a problem before it becomes a crisis and actually do something about it. Ideally, I like my clients planning a full quarter out, but if you're just getting started with this, that can feel really overwhelming, and I don't want you to let perfect be the enemy of getting started here. So here's what I want you to do this week. We're just going to start with looking at next week. That's it. Ask yourself 3 questions, okay? What do I estimate is going to come in sales based on my schedule? I can look at my schedule and see that. What do I know I have to pay for this week, and what do I think will be left over? I want you to keep it really high level at first. Don't try to count for every expense down to the penny because that's just going to frustrate you and you'll quit. A solid estimate is enough to get you started right now and give you something real to work with, okay? Here's what planning ahead like this actually does for you, okay? It shifts your focus from looking at the past to the future. Instead of dwelling on what already happened last month, you're making decisions about what is going to happen next week. That's a completely different relationship with your finances. It lets you plan for the things that you actually want. If you want to invest in a new device, you want to pay yourself, or you want to attend a training, you can look at your plan and see exactly what it's going to take to make that happen. And then you have time to make it go happen. It replaces that scarcity with clarity. Traditional budgeting feels like restriction. It's always about cutting back, taking things away. Planning feels like control. You're not saying no to things just randomly. You're prioritizing what matters and saying yes on purpose. And here's something that might surprise you, actually. This process doesn't just improve your profitability and cash flow. I consistently see it increase sales too. Because when you know your target, you work toward it differently. You get really intentional, you get really focused. And that focus is a recipe for more money, not less. If this is making you realize that you've been flying blind with your practice finances, that's actually a good thing, okay? Because now you know what to do instead. So start with that consistent salary calculator in the description below, because that's your sales target. That's step number one. And then once you have that number, you have something real to plan for. And if this video was helpful, subscribe to this channel, okay? Because I post new videos here every week, specifically for clinicians who are in that first couple years of practice ownership, and they're building towards a consistent salary that really supports them full time. Now that you know what planning is and why it works better than traditional budgeting, the next question is what you're actually looking at when you sit down to run your practice finances, okay? Because planning without knowing your key numbers is like logging your macros without knowing your targets. You're doing the work, but you don't know if you're actually hitting the goal or not. Now, I did a whole video breaking down the 4 numbers that every med spa and wellness practice owner needs to know, what each one means, what healthy looks like, and how to use them to spot problems early. That video is linked right here, and it is a great next step for you.